We are volunteers, essentially volunteer leaders. We are members of our own clubs. And in whatever we do in our own clubs, in their programs and projects, the service projects, that's the purpose why Lions Clubs basically exist. It is ultimately a culmination of the resources that we use and our own capacities to be able to produce the right results with those resources. When we talk of our own capacities, we refer to the training and the education that we may have received over the years and our ability to work with the teams, to work together, to be able to understand each other, and to be able to discharge the functions, the obligations of a good lion and a good Lions Club. Now here, we come across a term that has been regularly used, and that term is emotional intelligence. What does the word emotional intelligence mean? Let's look at an example. Most of us, all of us, would have gone to schools, colleges, universities, polytechnics, and we received education in our schools and colleges and universities. And we all walked out of our schools, colleges, and universities with our degrees, with the diplomas, with the recognition that we have completed the courses for which we had been studying there for years and years. At the end of it, some individuals may have qualified right at the top. They are referred to as the toppers. The top, the people who get the top 5% of the results. Now those of you who are my age, maybe my seniors, maybe even a couple of years younger to me, try and think of that particular day when the results were announced, the results of whatever your highest qualification was, and try and figure out, take a drive down the memory lane to try and get that picture of those individuals who may have been the toppers. You may be one of them, or some of your friends may have been one of them, or you may be knowing some of them. And on that particular day, it appears that everything is all so set. It's like a red carpet welcome into the future for these individuals who've done so well in their studies, who've been the top 1, 2, 5% amongst the students, who have the highest results, whom the top corporates are ready to hire from the campus itself, maybe pay them a little extra salaries, so on and so forth. But say about 15 to 20 years later, now try to look at the world around you. Try and just figure out and find out, which you must be doing, which must be knowing about it, whether those individuals, which may be you, your good friends, who were amongst the toppers when you walked out of the school, college, or university, are they really at the top of their profession? Are they really at the top of the business? Have they really reached the top in the so-called outside world, beyond the colleges and the universities? Ask yourself that question. And the general measurement is that just about 10 to 20% of those individuals who are toppers in their schools, colleges, universities reach the top of their professions and businesses. What happens to the other 80%? Where do they vanish? What went wrong? They had the best kind of technical knowledge. They had the best technical expertise. Everything seemed to be so cushy with them. And if they did not get to the top, who really went on to the top? Maybe those who were the mediocre, maybe those who were just average with the results. Now, how did they get to the top? What really went on? What's this matrix? What's happening? And let me tell you, what's happening is this. Somebody with the best results in a school, college, or university may be having those technical skills, but that individual may not be knowing how to work in an organization, how to deal with one's superiors, how to deal with one's own colleagues, how to get work down out of those who are working for that individual. That individual may not be knowing how to handle a crisis, a family crisis, a health crisis, a financial crisis. That individual may perhaps not be knowing how to handle so many other pressures that come on to every person, that come on to you, to me, over the years. Not being able to handle those pressures, those depressions at times, those challenges, because none of that is taught in any school or college or university. That's not a part, that's not even measured when we say that somebody has done so well in the exams, because there we are basically talking of the technical side of the education only. To be able to work with the team, to be able to work with one's superiors, to be able to work with ones who are at the same level, to be able to get work down out of those who are working under somebody, to be able to handle all these crises, to be able to stay positive despite all the challenges. Now that is what is comprised under the emotional intelligence. If somebody is emotionally intelligent, somebody would know what that individual's strengths are. These are my strengths. This is what I can do to get the best out of others. These are my weaknesses, and this is where I need to work on those weaknesses. That individual knows how good he or she is in interacting with others, in understanding the body language, in understanding the mind of the others, in being able to influence the mind and the thinking of the others, in being able to build those bonds of friendship, trust, faith, confidence, which is extremely important. Because it's not only important how good you are in doing something, it's equally important how you carry the team. What is the perception level about your involvement and engagement? To be able to create that perception level at the highest possible, to be able to send out those positive vibes, to be able to attract people towards you for good reason. Now that is what is comprised as the emotional intelligence. It's also about understanding the others. It's not about manipulating how the others behave, but it's about working out and setting up the environment in such a manner that everybody feels comfortable, that everybody feels like doing one's best. That is what a leader is expected to do in our organization, because we are working with other volunteers. I may be having some good qualities, but then if I cannot inspire confidence in others, if I cannot build that teamwork, or I cannot build that comfort within the team to be able to enjoy what they are doing, to be able to come together and build a bonding with each other, well, then the teams are not going to work and the result is not going to be there. It's about relationships. Emotional intelligence is essentially about the strong relationships which come out of understanding of oneself, understanding of the others, managing oneself and managing the others. It's working in those 4 quadrants it's usually put in by Daniel Goleman, who has done such a lot of work on emotional intelligence, that we can really become more efficient in getting the results out of the same resources, out of the same people. Try looking at this example. We all have bank accounts and we put money in those bank accounts. We can borrow or we can withdraw out of our bank accounts to the extent that we have deposited in those bank accounts. More than what we have deposited, we are not allowed to withdraw. We may be allowed to withdraw at some points if our business entities have been granted those cash credit or the overdraft terms, but it is within those permissible limits that one is allowed to withdraw. Now here is a concept which also Daniel Goleman has built, which is talking of a personal relationship bank account. Every time 2 individuals meet, there is a transaction taking place. Every time you meet somebody in a club and you shake hands with that person, you are putting in a small deposit in your personal relationship account with that person. You smile at that person from a distance, that's another small deposit. That individual is not keeping well and you give that person a phone call, that's another small deposit in that emotional bank account. You spend time with that individual, you engage in some good positive fellowship. Families come together, families spend time, quality time together. That's putting in more and more deposits in that emotional bank account, and those emotional bank account balances keep on going higher and higher and higher. And now today, the way we live in today's world, huge cities spread across, families living in different parts of the world, your own blood-related individuals living distantly apart. That's the way modern world is, those atomic families. Try to think of a situation where, say, at wee hours of the day, at odd hours, maybe midnight, maybe just past midnight, you have a certain emergency at home, maybe a medical emergency. You need to take somebody from home to the hospital. You need help at that point of time. What would your general reaction be? Would you be making the first one or two calls, asking for help, essentially from your relatives? Or would you be making those calls to your friends, maybe members of your own Lions Club? And why? Why should you not be making those calls to your relatives? Why should I not be doing it? Despite the fact that we say that if family bonding is so strong in the eastern part of the world, we still don't do it. I've tried and asked this question so often, and about 95% of the times I've got the answer, we would be calling our friends. Maybe our friends from our Lions Clubs first. Those are the individuals that we'll call up. Why? The reason is very simple. Because over the years, we have made huge deposits in that emotional bank account between us, between me and that particular friend. And whenever there is a need, it's like drawing money from the ATM that you can draw 24 hours. So here is a need that I experience because of an emergency in the family. So I have no second thoughts about it. And we press the button and we say, I need help. I need you to come and help me right away because this is an emergency. And the answer is, definitely, we'll be there right away. We'll be there just in a few minutes. And even if the friend says, well, I'm not there, but I'll work on it. I'll call up some people and they'll get across to you, have help coming to you in as few minutes as possible. Why? Because somebody is paying out of the huge balances of the emotional deposits that you have made in that bank account with that person. It's your right to withdraw. It's your moral, ethical right to withdraw. It's the proud privilege and the duty which that other person is very happy to discharge as a good friend, that that person is reaching out that help to you. That's what it's all about. But if there are some other individuals, some members in your club, some members, some other people that you know, that you haven't deposited, made those huge deposits in that emotional bank account with that person, you can't be calling up that individual at midnight asking for help. These deposits are deposits of emotional bondings. So emotional intelligence is about knowing about yourself, what your mindset is, knowing how the others work, knowing the qualities and the attributes of others, and knowing how to organize an environment in which we can get everybody working together, everybody feeling positive, everybody feeling good, everybody enjoying. It's not about the technical side, about how something has to be done. Technical side is important, but technical side is not sufficient. What really needs to be complemented and supplemented with the technical skill is the power of the emotional intelligence. And coming through that is the power that comes from the realization of the emotional bank account deposits that we create in dealing and building relations with others. Now that is very crucial in our organization. Whatever positions you and I may be, the badges that we wear, the badges are not important. The strength of those relationships is important. Building strong relationships in our organization is the key. It starts with our clubs. It moves on to the zone and the district. It goes on to the district level. It goes on to the multiple district. It can go on to the international level where we can be having friends. But this organization is an organization of volunteer leaders. We do wear the Lions lapel pin and we are bound by the Lions lapel pin. But essentially, people respond where they feel good. People respond to calls and for programs and projects where they feel happy to be a part of it. People like to work with individuals that they feel comfortable with. This art of making people comfortable, feel good, be part of the team, and to contribute 100% is the art that comes through using your emotional intelligence. We need to be emotionally intelligent to make our clubs successful, to make our programs and projects successful.